American things Europeans don't understand. Guys, obviously, I am neither American or European, so I'm going to be like a fly on the wall, to see what's going to happen between these two continents. So let's get right into it.
While the culture of the United States is exported all over the world in films and on TV, it also abides by some laws and practices that many consider unusual. Europeans in particular seem to have a hard time wrapping their heads around some of them. From child beauty pageants to gun laws, let's take a look at some American things that Europeans can't understand. Sick of commercials. If you're a European enjoying a cozy night in on the couch in America, some of the stuff on TV may shock and surprise you. And no, I'm not talking about Keeping Up with the Kardashians. I'm talking about commercials, which arrive so frequently it makes watching TV feel almost unbearable to anyone unaccustomed to it.
Seals leaks instantly. Use it on
Especially pharmaceutical commercials, which usually show grumpy men and women turned into smiling, happy people by the product being sold. These are usually followed by an almost comically long list of potential side effects spoken at double speed, like Ambien ad.
As well as abnormal behaviors such as being more outgoing or aggressive than normal, confusion, agitation, and hallucinations may occur. Don't take it with alcohol as it may increase these behaviors. Allergic reactions such as shortness of breath, swelling of your tongue or throat may occur and in rare cases may be fatal. Side effects may include next-day drowsiness, dizziness, and headache. In patients with depression, worsening of depression, including risk of suicide may occur.
That is true. America actually has a commercial or advert culture. Like, even when I watch American sports, it's so tiring. If I watch it live, obviously, not the highlights. It's so tiring. Like, commercials, every 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, like what the hell? It's actually kind of frustrating sometimes, especially like, as I said, if you're not used to it. So, it's actually definitely something I'm not used to as well. In my own country, we still do adverts, but not like Americans. I think, I know, I can see why they call America like the center of capitalism. Like, the companies need to make that money.
These types of direct-to-consumer commercials peddle prescription drugs, which is an advertising standard that was rejected by the European Commission back in 2002. The Commission stated that pharmaceutical companies were unable to provide impartial information on their medicines. If that's the case, why is it practiced in America? To put it simply, there's simply never been a federal law passed to outlaw the practice. This is in no small part thanks to the fact that direct-to-consumer drugs and their accompanying ads are a huge business. And in America, whether it's right or wrong, the rules tend to follow the money. Europeans might actually need a pill for the headache all those ads give them. May cause drowsiness, loss of limbs, telepathic powers, and a violent hatred of cheese. No place like home. Let's say you're a European who's just moved over to America. You found a house in a nice residential neighborhood, and you're going through your bills. Rent, water, gas, electric, all seems in order. But wait a second. What's a homeowners association fee?
What?
To a native, that's a pretty obvious question. But for Europeans, it's an unwelcome surprise. These fees contributes to the local homeowners association, which is somewhat like a neighborhood watch, but managing funds to be reinvested into the community. It goes towards things like residential maintenance and common spaces, which keeps residents happy and property values up. With around 24%.
It's not too far-fetched. I don't know about Europe, but in my country, some areas, you pay for your own security. Like, you contribute money in the neighborhood for some vigilante or something. Like, you pay for it because you are going to depend on we don't have 911 where I'm from. So, like, you have to actually kind of provide your own security. So most times, if I'm moving to a new area, I must make sure that that particular area has a security arrangement one way or the other. I can't just go and live in some area without any security arrangement. I won't be able to sleep with my eyes closed. So I think maybe we have some similarities there. It's not compulsory, but if you want to live comfortably or at least put in peace, I think it's very, very necessary.
reinvested into the community. It goes towards things like residential maintenance and common spaces, which keeps residents happy and property values up. With around 24% of all Americans living under a homeowners association, they pay $200 to $300 on
24%.
average per month in fees to these entities. Now, while some Europeans might struggle with this concept, it was a form of governance that was actually invented by France back in 1804. The condominium law was exported to the US, where it became incredibly popular. So, for any European that wants to complain about homeowner regulations and fees, feel free to blame the French. Vacant vacation days. The USA has one of the largest economies in the world. A tremendous economy, in the president's
Trump
words. But Europeans looking to get into the American world of work are often shocked when it comes to vacation time. U.S. workers are not entitled to mandatory paid vacation at all.
That's crazy.
Usually the issue of paid leave is left at the discretion of employers. And yes, that does include national holidays. According to research from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, in 2017, only 77% of American workers had access to paid vacation. Now, the reason that might leave Europeans slack-jawed is because mandatory paid vacation time in Europe starts at 4 weeks. In fact, America is one of the
I mean, like, I've always been hearing that stuff that Americans work a lot, like, and that is true. I'm actually very, very shocked. Like, when I first heard it, I was very, very shocked because, I mean, I could understand if it's a private company, but is this the same thing in government, for government workers? Like, at least I can understand private, like in my country as well. Private people don't really, a lot of private entities don't have paid vacations, but government workers, they have compulsory 1 month paid vacation, compulsory. So I'm kind of shocked by that. Well, I think I know people that have immigrated to both continents, the US and Europe, and they tell me all this stuff that in the US, you guys work like termites, like you have no free time whatsoever. So that is kind of unfortunate.
only Western countries where law doesn't enforce companies to give its employees mandatory paid vacation time. Don't believe me? Take a look at this map breaking down mandatory paid vacation time by country. Only the great countries are known not to give paid time off. It's a working culture that undoubtedly favors employers over employees. Americans might want to think about learning Chinese instead, as employers in China must legally offer 5 days of holiday.
Only
Although
5
that
days.
is after one continuous year of work. Win some, lose some, I guess. Florida man. If the American states could be looked at as a dysfunctional family, then Florida would be the weird uncle who once ran away with the circus and wrestled a tiger. The Sunshine State is the third most populous state in the USA and receives over 100 million visitors year on year. With so many people living between Miami Beach, Disneyland, and Pensacola,
I'm actually surprised that it's more populous than New York. Like Florida. I'm actually surprised.
crazy is bound to be found on the fringes of society. But what Europeans aren't prepared for are the crazy antics of Floridians that make daily headlines. From Florida man believed that he was half man, half dog in March 2019 to
I'm well aware.
Florida man robs bank, strips naked, then runs down the street throwing stolen money everywhere in July 2017. You can search the internet for almost any day of the year and find a headline announcing Florida man has committed an utterly baffling crime. There doesn't seem to be an equivalent for any European countries, although the UK comes close with some of its questionable journalism topics like
Britain's fattest woman ate fridge and died.
VAT trouble. In Europe, like most of the world, tax is built into the price of items in-store and online. So what you see on the tag is what you pay. But Europeans visiting an American store might
Same thing with my country as well. The tax is put into the price at once.
be left doing a double take at their bill when they reach the register. There is no national sales tax or value-added tax in America. Instead, American taxes differ by jurisdiction,
That is crazy.
of which there are around 7,000. Differences in these local rates, state taxes, or combined state and local taxes means that final prices for the same item can differ from one street to the next. For first-time shoppers in the U.S., this unpleasant surprise is a rite of passage that no one asked for. Tipping point. A meal at a restaurant can be a
That
real
one.
treat, but Europeans visiting America sometimes stress about the tip. Although tipping anywhere up to 20% seems normal to most Americans, there's no such obligation in Europe. Indeed, it's mostly
It's
seen as
crazy,
a bonus
man.
reward for good service, and in some European countries, it's even considered rude and excessive to leave a tip. The American federal government, however, states that tips can be used to satisfy the difference between the employee's hourly wage and the standard minimum wage. This means
I mean, like, that is one thing. I think I've covered a video about this before when the NTP was mentioned. Like, it's something that I just cannot understand. I mean, are you telling me that a server could treat me like shit and I'm still obligated to give them a tip of what did they say, 20% or something? That is madness. That is madness. I mean, I can understand if you are treated very, very well, treated like with respect and everything, and and you just want to reward the person. I can understand that. But the fact that if I do not tip, despite the fact that I was treated like shit, I'm now an asshole. Like, that's crazy to me. Really, really crazy. But I guess every country has their own culture.
food servers, valets, and in-house staff in certain states can be working for a federal wage of just $2.13 per hour, which is about €1.96. So if you're a European visitor to the States, get ready to factor in your tip to the overall price of your meal. You might well be contributing to a struggling waiter's rent. Child beauty pageants. If
That
you've
one's
ever been
crazy as well.
unfortunate enough to have watched an episode of Toddlers and Tiaras on TLC, I think you might side with the Europeans on the next matter. Child beauty pageants
I do.
are common across America and usually consist of dolled-up little girls being thrust onto a stage to entertain a crowd of screaming moms. It's truly bizarre. But what's equally strange is how the craze got started. Child pageants originated from American Better Baby contests in the early 20th century. Babies would be scored on characteristics like weight, quality of skin, and face shape, supposedly in the name of helping to educate mothers on best practices for healthy babies. But of course, it wasn't just for education purposes. There were also cash rewards and trophies for top-ranking toddlers. This has slowly devolved into the bedazzled tradition of pushing a child on stage in full makeup and styled hair to do a dance routine for prize money. Although some European countries host similar but smaller events, others like France have gone as far as to ban all such pageants, claiming they're an unhealthy...
I would like to know, American people that are watching this video, like, what do you think about this? I would like to know. Let me just know your opinion down in the comments.
way to treat young girls. If you ask me, their general creepiness alone should be enough to slam the brakes on child beauty pageants. Honey boo boo? No thanks. Size is everything. According to an old saying, everything's bigger in Texas. But if you're a European, you'll probably think that about all of America, right down to its people. It's no secret that America has a little bit of a weight problem. 2/3 of American adults classify as overweight, and it's estimated that almost 40% of adults in the U.S. aged 20 and over are obese. Contrasted to Europe, where a survey carried out in 2014 labeled just 15% of adults obese. That's a king-size difference, with a side of fries. The American tendency to overeat might have something to do with portion sizes in the States. A study comparing portions in Paris and Philadelphia revealed food outlet portions were 25% larger in Philly. And a review of 17 different single-serve foods like yogurt and candy bars found that 14 of them were bigger in Philadelphia. While a one-state to one-country comparison doesn't necessarily represent the whole, Europeans on social media often comment on how much bigger everything seems stateside. Have you noticed this difference in portion sizes? Let me know in the Oh, sugar. Living in America can really give you a taste for the sweet life, but your teeth won't thank you for it. Why? Well, some American foods and drinks have been found to contain huge amounts of sugar compared to their European equivalents. Some common bread brands contain up to 6 grams of sugar per serving, 6 times the amount found in European counterparts. But it doesn't end there. Taking a look at Pizza Hut's sugar content reveals most of their stateside pizzas have close to double the amount of sugar per slice as European versions. And in Starbucks, a UK venti white chocolate mocha will contain 62.4 grams of sugar. But in America, that shoots up to 72 grams. I've heard of sweetening the deal. but any Europeans making the trip across the Atlantic might leave suffering from the toothache. Gaps
Wow.
in the market. European standards of building a public restroom involve plenty of privacy, mainly in the form of cubicles with doors that are more door than gap. Seems obvious, but it's a standard that Americans just can't seem to adopt. With ridiculously large gaps at the top, bottom, and sides, it makes for a truly uncomfortable first visit to an American toilet for unwitting visitors. On their first time, Europeans are left feeling especially susceptible to unwelcome visitors and peeping toms.
What
Some
the
people
hell?
even resort to taping up the gap to prevent prying eyes looking in. But as strange as the design seems, there are some theories as to why Americans build their stalls this way. For a start, high floor gaps allow for easier cleaning,
That's true.
and they do make it simpler to pass toilet paper from one cubicle to another.
What the hell?
On top of that, the vertical gaps act as a deterrent for anyone thinking of doing anything naughty behind closed doors. But there's always the chance you might accidentally get a real eyeful. Maybe just close your eyes before entering any American
That's
restrooms.
creepy, man.
Triggered.
Whoa.
It strikes many Europeans as a bit odd that in America you can pick up your groceries from one aisle of a store and a gun
What
from
the
another.
hell?
Indeed, you can buy guns over the counter in places like
Shit.
Walmart, and ammo can be found in pharmacies.
Jeez.
But seeing as guns are still legal in many parts of Europe, what is it that Europeans find weird about the gun-loving, rifle-wielding, Second Amendment-touting American citizen? It might have something to do with America's gun-related death rate, seeing as per capita, there were 12 gun-related deaths for every 100,000 people in America in 2017. Very few European countries exceed 3 gun-related deaths per 100,000
Wow.
people, and none even come close to America's 12 per 100,000. The causes of the problem are fiercely debated, but it might have something to do with how easy it is to buy a gun. Background checks are usually carried out, but a research survey from Harvard in 2015 estimated that a third of American gun owners have purchased a firearm without a background check.
What?
In Europe, many countries like Austria
Wait, I think that is ridiculous. 1 out of 3 without a background check. Is that like illegal? It can't be legally, right? Can't be legally.
and Germany require would-be gun owners to go through a rigorous 7-step
Yes.
procedure before owning a gun. High-caliber handguns are outright banned in the UK, and many categories of semi-automatic weapons are illegal to own across Europe. It's simply much harder to legally purchase a gun in Europe than it is in the US, which I'm sure is a trigger point for some.
Yeah. Trigger points.
You noticed any all-American
I saw that. Wow, that was interesting. I was just looking at it like there are just a lot of things that the US does that I think is kind of weird. Like that child beauty pageant stuff, I just do not understand it. I mean, I can understand, like, I'm not saying we don't do some things like that in my country, like where kids compete, you know. But I'm not sure, is it beauty pageants? No, we don't do that beauty pageant stuff. It's more like maybe some educational kind of competition or something that, you know, requires the brain. Or it's not like a beauty pageant. You're just there just to you know, analyze their beauty. Children, like, man, that is a bit too far in my opinion. Maybe it happens in my country and I don't know about it. Like, I don't want someone to come and tell me like it happens. I know someone that whatever. Like, maybe it happens. I don't know. But in my experience, I just do not see it. So anyway, that was interesting. I think my country has more in common with Europe than in the US. The only thing that we really have in common to the US is the fact that we drive on the right, so unlike the UK that drives on the left. So I think it's kind of interesting though. I really enjoyed the video. I hope you did. If you did, please hit that like button on your way out. I really appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Peace.